The United States House of Representatives and the United States Senate make up the greatest peaceful deliberative body in the world today. However, it has not always been peaceful. During the 18th and 19th century, there were a number of occasions where political adversaries came to blows. One representative was even scalped. Well, not really scalped, but his hairpiece was ripped from his head. Article 1, Section 6 of the U.S. Constitution states, "They shall in all cases except treason, felony, and breach of the peace be privileged from arrest during their attendance at the session of their respective houses, and in going to and returning from the same, and for any speech or debate in either house they shall not be questioned in any other place." There is only one person in the world who can arrest a representative while speaking on the floor. That would be the Sergeant at Arms, and only under the direction of the Speaker of the House. So basically, a senator or representative can say anything he or she likes on the floor of the Congress, regardless of the statement's accuracy, and not worry about being held accountable for such mundane and trifling laws such as defamation. Besides, in such an august body as the House and Senate, civilized people do not cast aspersions upon their colleagues' character, never mind resort to anything as vulgar as violence. It's simply not done, as the British say. Yeah, well, that being said, it seems some of our less dignified statement did not get that memo. It was during the Fifth Congress on January 28, 1798, when the House was debating who should be the managers for the first ever impeachment trial. Senator William Blount from Tennessee was being impeached for conspiracy with a foreign government to seize land while he had been a territorial governor. Representative Griswold, the representative from Connecticut and a Federalist, tried to get the attention of Representative Lyon. He was from Vermont and he was a Democratic Republican. He wanted to discuss the matter, but since Lyon was from the other party, he wanted nothing to do with Griswold. Griswold became incensed at this snub. He decided to confront Lyon. He went over to Lyon and called him a scoundrel. Now at that time, to call someone a scoundrel was a major insult. Well, of course, the situation escalated. Lyon's response to being called a crook, a rogue, a rascal, a villain, a rat, and a cheat was to declare he was willing to fight for the interests of the common man. Okay, at this point, we really got to take a little bit of a backstory here. Rumors had been circulating that Lyon had been dismissed from the Continental Army for alleged cowardice in the face of the enemy. This was later proven untrue. But the rumor also said he was ordered to carry a wooden sword. Seeing the perfect opportunity to mock Lyon's bravado, Griswold inquired if he would be using his wooden sword as he fought for the common man. At this point, the honorable gentleman from Vermont did the only thing he could. Lyon spit tobacco juice on the honorable gentleman from Connecticut. The House members were appalled at Lyon's behavior. Basically, they put forth the motion to expel Representative Lyons. Under Article 1, Section 5 of the Constitution, each House may determine the rules of its proceedings, punish its members for disorderly behavior, and with the consent of 2/3 expel that member. Obviously, Lyons demonstrated disorderly behavior, described in the article. However, the necessary 2/3 needed to expel Lyon was a little short. During that Congress, there were 50 Democratic Republicans and 56 Federalist representatives. Expulsion was not going to happen. Griswold wanted satisfaction. If Congress would not act upon Lyon's violent attack and gross indignity committed upon him, then he would handle it himself. On the morning of February 15, 1789, the very honorable gentleman from Connecticut, Representative Griswold, waited for the opening prayer to conclude. Then, before the Speaker could officially bring the House into session, Griswold walked over to Representative Lyon, who was seated at his desk. He proceeded to use his hickory walking stick, a very heavy and very dense wood, to issue at least 20 solid blows upon the uncouth Irish immigrant Lyons. Those are Griswold's words, not mine. Lyon was able to absorb the multiple blows and rise to defend himself. This is when the situation went from disorderly behavior to slapstick comedy. The report from other members say the two tussled in front of the Speaker's chair, then moved along the side of the rostrum, then behind it. Now, during this running battle, Lyon managed to grab a pair of tongs from the fireplace. The two emerged from behind the Speaker's rostrum, jousting. Griswold with his hickory walking stick, and Lyon with his fireplace tongs. There is no contemporary account of what each man was calling each other during their impromptu fencing match. At some point, the two gentlemen of Congress were on the floor wrestling with each other. It was recorded by members of the Congress that the Speaker of the House at that time, Jonathan Dayton, was in no hurry to break up the entertainment. Representatives Havens and Elmendorf grabbed Griswold by his legs and tried to drag Griswold off of Lyon. Dayton was quoted as telling the Representative Haven that he should not hold Griswold that way. Looking over his shoulder, Havens asked, "Why not?" Dayton's calm response was, "Take hold of his shoulders, man." Well, trying to separate Griswold and Lyon was a difficult task, but Havens and Elmendorf succeeded. However, the two were not done. Within minutes, both men grabbed weapons of choice and began round 2 of their jousting match. It's not recorded which members of Congress broke up their second round, but peace had been restored to the solemn and dignified chambers of the 5th Congress of the United States. Too bad C-SPAN wasn't up and running. That would have been a great video. Anyways, in the aftermath of the fight, a motion to expel both members immediately was proposed. Karma has prevailed. Both members kept their seats in Congress. Yeah, what a surprise. Congress covering up unseemly behavior of its members. The condition for them keeping their seats, each man had to pledge their word that neither member would commit an act of violence upon the other. Obviously it worked. They still kept their seats. Now we're going to come to the second major violent event in Congress over one's honor. It was May 19, 1856. Senator Charles Sumner, anti-slavery Republican from Massachusetts, arose on the floor of the Senate, the greatest peaceful deliberative body in the world. He gave his famous Crimes Against Kansas speech, all 106 pages over a 2-day period. In his speech, he attacked Stephen Douglas and his position on slavery. He called Douglas, who was in attendance, a noisome, squat, and nameless animal. Not a proper model for an American senator. Douglas, being the politician he was, took the attack in stride. It was just politics. Sumner then went after Senator Butler. He was a Democrat from South Carolina, who was not present in the Senate at the time. Sumner ridiculed Butler's pretentious behavior as a man of chivalry by comparing Butler's defense of slavery to having a kept woman. Yep. Sumner charged him with taking a mistress, who, though ugly to others, is always lovely to him. Though polluted in the sight of the world, is chaste in his eyes. I mean, added Sumner's, the harlot slavery. At that time, Sumner's was considered one of the greatest orators of his time. People were expecting something incendiary, so the visitors' gallery was packed. Boy, did they get it. The people wanted to hear what the great orator had to say. And as was expected after that speech, it drew a lot of criticism from Southern Democrats and praise from Northern abolitionists. However, there was one Southern Democrat who believed his family had been publicly humiliated. Representative Preston Brooks, Democrat from South Carolina, and a relative of Senator Butler, felt his family's honor had been tarnished by Sumner. Since Butler was not able to defend himself against such calumnies, Representative Brooks felt honor-bound to defend the family's honor. Brooks realized that Sumner was not a gentleman. If he were, he would not have made those defamatory comments about his relative. So challenging to a duel was out of the question. Only gentlemen took pistols and tried to kill each other to prove their honor. No. In Brooks' eyes, Sumner was only worthy of a vicious thrashing. That would teach that upstart Yankee to respect his betters. Now, having developed his plan, Brooks consulted with Representative Keitt, a Democrat from, yep, you guessed it, South Carolina, about his plan to teach this Yankee a lesson, and he needed to enlist Keitt's help. Keitt, ever the upstanding Southern gentleman of the time, readily agreed. The Office of the Senate Historian described the event. On May 22, 1856, Brooks entered the Senate chamber and began beating the defenseless Sumner with his gold-headed cane, while Keitt prevented others from stopping Brooks or aiding Sumner. Keitt drew his own pistol from his belt and brandished his own cane, holding off the horror-stricken senators who tried to assist Sumner, loudly announcing, "Let them be!" So much for the freedom of speech in a peaceful, deliberative body. The beating Sumner received was so brutal and bloody, it would be 3 years before he could return to the Senate. Both Representative Brooks and Keitt resigned their seats in the House rather than being expelled. They then ran for the special election in August of that year. Both men were overwhelmingly returned to Congress as the representatives for the state of South Carolina. It wasn't just the people of South Carolina who showed their support for Representative Brooks. The people of Pierceville, Florida decided to honor the gallant action of Representative Brooks in defending his family honor by renaming their town Brooksville. Now, not to be outdone, Georgia General Assembly, to commemorate Representative Brooks' brave action, portioned off two sections of two different counties and created the new county called Brooks, Georgia. Yeah. Now, the third incident of fisticuffs in the U.S. Senate, referred to as the Great Brawl of February 5th, 1858, happened during the debate on admitting Kansas to the Union. The debate centered on whether or not Kansas entered the Union as a free state or a slave state. Tempers were hot, the evening was late, and the members were making derogatory comments about each other all day. Gee, I wonder what could happen. I wonder what could go wrong, considering the honorable gentleman from South Carolina, Lawrence Keitt, was involved. Yes, the very same Lawrence Keitt of the now infamous Senator Charles Sumner's cane from 2 years earlier. The legislature had been in session all day and well into the night. By 2 a.m., the House had become quiet. Congress had been deliberating the Kansas Territory's pro-slavery Lecompton Constitution. Resolutions had been offered and debated. Amendments to the resolutions had been offered and debated. The issue was at an impasse. Now, it was at this point that Representative Quitman, a Democrat from Mississippi, arose to make a proposal. Representative Grow, a Republican from Pennsylvania, desiring to make an objection, walked down the aisle. He unfortunately walked down the aisle on the Democratic side of the House. And it was at this point that Representative Keitt, the paragon of Southern chivalry and gentlemanliness, told Grow, "If you are going to object, go over to your own side of the House." Grow replied, "This is a free land, and a man has a right to stand where he pleased." Keitt became angry, went over to Grow, and demanded to know what he meant by that statement. Well, Grow repeated his statement, at which point the honorable gentleman from South Carolina grabbed Grow by the throat and said, "I will let you know you are a damn black Republican puppy." Whatever that means. Grow knocked Keitt's hands away and stated, "I will stand where I please, and no slave owner will crack his whip over me." Keitt grabbed Grow by the throat again. This time, Grow broke the hold and threw Keitt to the floor. It was at this point that several Southern Democrats attacked Grow. The New York Daily Tribune stated, "Grow defended himself bravely and honorably. Seeing their Republican colleague in danger, the Republican members rushed to his aid. A general melee occurred on the floor of the House of Representatives in front of the clerk's desk." Now, it was reported that Representative Washburn, a Republican from Illinois, enjoyed the fight, as he was, quote, "conspicuous in dealing heavy blows," close quote. Speaker of the House, James Orr, a Democrat from South Carolina, was shouting loudly and repeatedly, slamming the gavel on the rostrum, demanding order. It wasn't working. This had no effect. The dignified gentleman of the House kept fighting. He then ordered Sergeant-at-Arms Glossbrenner, he was a Democrat from Pennsylvania, to break up the brawl and to arrest any member who resisted. Glossbrenner waded into the melee, holding his symbol of office, the mace, high over his head, trying to restore order. Order was restored, but it was not due to Glossbrenner's efforts. The fight ended on a comical note. Cadwallader Washburn of Wisconsin came to the aid of his brother Elihu, a representative from Illinois. Cadwallader threw a punch, missed his target, and instead grabbed the wig off of Representative Barksdale's head. Washburn then extended his right fist, clutching Barksdale's wig in the air, supposedly shouted in triumph, "I've scalped him!" Maintaining his dignity, Barksdale retrieved his wig, put it on his head backwards. Incitement, he put it on backwards. This brought the fight to an end. In actuality, it only lasted a few minutes, but the whole House erupted into laughter. Representatives were disciplined. It was due to the fact that most of the representatives were involved in this fight. They would have had to hold special elections all over the country. And in the end, Kansas entered the Union as a free state. Since the Great Brawl, as is known, there have been no major violent incidents over affairs of honor in the hallowed halls of Congress. The members are more civilized today. Now they make outlandish statements against fellow members on the floor to garner votes. It's politics as usual. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the like button. Please share this video and subscribe to my channel and leave a comment below. Thank you for watching.